You know what? Sometimes I feel like I'd like to bring back the good old days. Like the good old days when we didn't have a cell phone in our hand all the time and we had nothing but an answering service. Oh boy, was that fun. Wow, you'd find a payphone, put your quarter in, call up your answering service, and you usually had an answering service if you lived in New York City. Yeah, so you could get your extremely important messages. Like, uh, so you go, hello, bells are ringing, or whatever the name of the service was. Who called today? And then they, put you on hold because they wanted you to know that they didn't like what they were doing. It was really annoying to them that you even called to get your messages. And then they'd come back and they'd say, yeah, how can I help you? And you'd say, I'd like to get my messages. My name is Patricia, and if you had a message, you felt great. I've got 2 messages, and one of them's from your agent. Great. Which one? It doesn't say here. Okay. So, the answer service wasn't fail proof, okay? Because you got, not that great of people answering them. Not only that, you had people that didn't want to do that job, but they took it because it was the only thing available to them. And then came finally, oh my God, was a wonderful answering machine. Now that was wonderful, okay, because you could put your own message on there. And you didn't have to go through somebody who hated your guts for calling them up and asking for your messages, okay? So you'd call your machine, and then you press something on your phone, it would play your messages, and you could think of really cute messages like, I'm not here, but I'm out doing something important. No, that's not a good one. I'm not here. You know what to, nah, everybody else does that. I'm not here, but, and you could make up your own. I finally got to the point where I was doing such ridiculous stuff. I'm pretty sure people hung up before they even got through it. But those were the good old days. I really enjoyed those times instead of walking around constantly looking at your phone as you see some of these young people. And you're probably saying right now, what's an answering service? What's an answering machine? It's an antiquated thing for dinosaurs, kids. Yeah, and they were great. They were much better than, having a phone pressed to your head or looking at it and falling down a flight of stairs and having a pile up on the flight of stairs because everybody else behind you was looking at their phone or fell because you fell first, like a set of dominoes. I'm so tired of looking at people doing that. And, the other day I thought I lost my phone and I started to almost have a panic attack. I had to grab a paper bag and start breathing into it because it's, our phones have become like jewelry. If we could wear them as earrings, we would probably wear a set of phones on our ears or a phone neck. I'm sure we do have a phone necklace. There has to be one of those. But those were, to me, yes, was it difficult? You had to look for a quarter to even call anyone way back then if you're on a street of Manhattan or anywhere. If you were in a store or something, there was an emergency. Excuse me, but can I use your phone to call 911? And they're like, why? What's wrong? My husband's dying in the parking lot. We're not only supposed to use, like customers use their phone, man. Okay, I'll buy a Hershey's bar. My husband's having a heart attack in the parking. Those were the good old days, okay? Where we weren't attached to something and we weren't going to get a brain tumor somewhere way down the line when we're in our late 60s, or 70s. Remember that, people? Not you kids, people my age. Kind of young. Dinosaurs, whatever.